What's on your someday I will? Just throw anything out. What?
Wim Hof going to like the mountains.
Yeah, like going to the mountains, Wim Hof. What else?
Backpacking Europe.
Backpacking where?
Europe.
In Europe.
Ride a motorcycle at the Pacific Coast Highway.
Nice, nice. Yeah.
Get a pilot's license.
Get a pilot's license.
Speak 5 languages
Speak.
fluently.
You want to speak 5 languages fluently. How many speak now?
30.
Okay, good. Yeah, Mark.
Swimming in a frozen lake.
Swimming in a frozen lake. Where's the frozen lake?
Mountains.
Where? What mountains? Just pick something.
Mount Rainier.
Great. Good. Cody.
Tango in Buenos Aires.
Tango in Buenos Aires. Last one, Trey.
Hunting bears
Where?
in Alaska.
Hunting bears in Alaska. I wonder if they allow you to hunt bears in Alaska. Grizzlies are pretty fucking scary. Oh, you're going to be governor of Alaska. Okay. So, the guys who said something, give me a number of how important this is to you. 1 to 10. So that's some numbers. A 9. 9. 9. 7.
I would say 7.
7. If you're a 3 is for you? Okay, good. I'm glad you said that. If it's below, I'm just making this up right now. If it's below a 7, you're never going to do it. I just thought of that right now. I can't think of a 7. A 7 says, yeah, I'll get around to it someday. But if you're up in the 8s and 9s and 10s, now you are at a lot of tension. So the question is, if you've got an 8, 9, or 10, what's holding you back? And it's probably one of the 3 things that Andy talked about. I don't have enough time, not enough money. Well, you're never going to have enough time or enough money until you commit to that thing through time, through money. It's not going to happen. And it's just like, well, to case in point, this is what I did this summer. This year I had a great year. I went, I learned how to surf in Costa Rica. I hiked in Bryce Canyon and Zion for 5 days. I had 5 days between workshops, so I thought I haven't been there since I was 8 years old. I'm going to go hike there. I hiked in the Cappadocia, central Turkey, in between workshops. Every opportunity I had is, let's go someplace, just do something. But this was the one that has been on my list, on my someday list for 35 years. And what I did is I hiked the John Muir Trail in the High Sierra. Now, just in a nutshell, the classic route is from Yosemite to Whitney, to the top of Mount Whitney. The main route is 221 miles, and you go over 11 passes of over 11,000 feet. Average altitude is 10,000 feet. My trip was 237 miles. Took me 23 days. Yeah, wow. So how did I get there? Now, I told you yesterday that I made a crazy decision to be in the best shape of my life. So I got a trainer. A friend of mine does kettlebells. I started working out. That was in October, November, December. I turned 65 earlier this year in January, and I had a little come to Jesus moment, which is, what are you waiting for? What do you want to do? And I have been thinking, because I grew up hiking in the High Sierra. I know that range really well, but I never hiked the trail. And it's always been like, I should do that. I should do that someday. Every summer, maybe I'll get around to that. Well, this year I decided, fuck it. And so in order to you have to have a permit to do something like this. And there are not very many permits. They're very, very careful with the number of people on this trail. And so I thought, well, I couldn't get a permit through the lottery system, which means 6 months before you can get into a lottery. I'll just show up at the website, the recreation.gov website, every morning at 6:30 and just see what happens. So every morning for like 4 or 5 weeks, get up at 6:30, fill out all the forms. The whole thing took like 15 minutes a day. And finally, after a month of that, little bing, and there was a little red 1. Someone had canceled and on the day that I want to go. And my first reaction was, oh, fuck. Opportunity shows itself, and you've got to jump on it. This is like, Dave talks about this, is that if you don't show up and the opportunity shows itself, and you don't say yes to that thing that you want to do, it disappears. And you're going to pay the price later on with money, with the opportunity, or it just won't happen. Just like when you see a really pretty girl and you walk around by and you come up with some bullshit story, she looks really pretty, I'll probably run into her later. What is the chance of 1 to 100,000 you're ever going to see her again? You're not. So pushing that button, so anytime that you make a choice like this, for me it was clicking that link and putting in, $10 to reserve my permit. I changed the course, the trajectory of my life. It wasn't like a big trajectory, but it was just enough, like bam. And now I have a purpose. It's like any time that you make the choice to expand into a new experience, whether it's travel, jumping out of an airplane, taking a workshop, showing up for this, maybe signing up for another, fearless workshop. That choice always expands your life. Buying things, I don't know. There's some things that I really like in my life, but every time I made a choice to expand myself to experience, I don't look back. I don't never look back. Never look back. So I clicked the button and I started training. And it's not only that, but what's so great about clicking that button and paying that $10 is that all of a sudden my life had like this purpose to it. I went through all my gear. I can't exist 23 days with the gear that I have. It's too heavy. It's made for 5-6 days. I needed ultralight. So I had to get a new tent. I bought a new bag. I kept my backpack because it's a Deuter and it's a beauty. It's 65 liters and it's badass pack. Weighs 4.5 pounds, but that's I was okay with that. And then I started training. So I found one of those water bags that you work out with. It's 40 pounds of water. Threw it in my bag, started hiking every day, hiking the sand dunes at Ocean Park in San Francisco, humping this thing around. The amount of organization that goes into something like this is massive because 23 days out, you can't carry 23 days worth of food, so you've got food drops, your resupplies. So you've got to figure out where to send your food. And you send it out to a dude ranch in the middle of nowhere, or a pack station. I sent one to a mule packer and said, I'm going to be here on the map on this day. Please have my food there. Which is scary because anytime, no matter where you send your food, you're just trusting like, well, I sure fucking hope it shows up because I would be screwed. So that all got organized and I got totally, what's so great about having something like this is that it took over. It just took over my life. It took over every thought I had. I had like, oh, what am I going to eat? Like, let's go. Everything, colored everything in my life. Through the Facebook group, John Muir Trail Hikers 2021, I met all these great people. By the way, backpackers are the nerdiest people. They're all testing the weather and they always have graphs and stuff. They're great, great people. And so I drove. Oh, the other thing you have to figure out is where you leave your car. You're going to leave your car at one end. How do you get to the other end? You're constantly thinking about this stuff. I worked it all out. So I decided to I started in the south. I started south of Mount Whitney. That's why my trail was longer, because that's where I could get a permit. Getting a permit out of Yosemite is really hard. So I went to Horseshoe Meadows, which is a trailhead at 10,000 feet on the east side. And I decided I was going to start my trip, get there 2 days early, and hang out at 10,000 feet and day hike. I've had AMS, acute mountain sickness. I have never had HAPE or HACE, which are pulmonary or cerebral edemas that you can get at high altitude. I've pulled guys out of the mountains with those things. It's fucking scary to be that sick in the mountains. And if I was going to get sick, I wanted to be sick on this side of the pass, not on the other side of the pass. And the day hiking was really helpful. Worked out some gear issues. And then I started hiking. And then before the trip, people were asking me, what's your intention for the trip? Like, you must have an intention doing something this big. And I'm thinking, whoa, shit, I'm a coach. I got to have an intention. That's probably something I'd ask my clients. It's like, what's your intention? And then I got kind of panicky, like, oh, fuck, I don't have an intention. I'll figure it out. I'll think about my intention while I'm hiking. So in the first 2 days, I'm exhausted. And by the way, I was telling everybody before the trip, they'd say, how do you feel about the trip? I say, well, I would say the same thing. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard. It's probably going to be exhausted every day. I'm probably going to be lonely. I'll probably get a blister. Guess what fucking happened? All of it. And I realized 3 days in, camping in this out of in the middle of nowhere at 10,000 feet by this lake, that I realized I just created this reality. This is hard because I told people it was going to be hard. I was suffering because I told people I'm going to suffer. And that's when I realized I got it. And then I had this weight of a intention. What's my intention? And that was weighing me down too, because I couldn't come up with an intention. And finally, I'm sitting at this lake in the middle of nowhere, and I thought, God, I have to change my fucking attitude. And I decided to drop the intention. My intention was to enjoy myself. My intention was to enjoy these mountains because they're the most beautiful mountains on earth. Very dear to me too, because my father, who I love dearly, was a packer as a young man. He's the one who introduced me to these mountains. So I made the intention to stop suffering. Suffering is a choice. I'm going to be tired, but I don't have to suffer. I'm going to be sore, but I don't have to suffer. It is what it is. And the whole trip turned after that. I just walked and enjoyed myself. And whatever I learned, which I'll share some of the things that I learned, showed up rather than me trying to reach and grasp for them. And one of the powerful things was I just decided to walk with my dad. He's been dead for 15 years. But I just decided to walk with him, and I felt kind of emotional. Point things out and look at the bear. By the way, I had 3 bear encounters. And that made these days just pass. I'm just walking and talking with my dad and pointing things out, and it was really great. Talk about trail for a second. The trail is not a path. Trail is it's well marked, but it's hard hiking. It's the kind of trail where 95% of the time, if you're not looking down at your feet, you're going to trip, stumble, or twist an ankle, because it's rough. 11 passes over 11,000 feet means that you have to hump a 40-pound pack from 8,500 feet to 11,000 feet. And we use trekking poles. I don't know if you ever guys seen trekking poles. When you've got a heavy pack, trekking poles are really necessary, because the trekking pole will help you power up an ascent, so you can use your arms to lift everything up and help your legs, and also you lengthen them on the descent so you can balance your way down. So it's power and balance. If you don't have those on the descent and you misstep, 40-pound pack, a 1 foot drop going down to 3 feet, you're going to hurt yourself really badly. So you're constant awareness of what you're doing. Okay, so the blister. The blister came out of nowhere. I manifested it. I told everybody I was going to get a blister, and this blister was giant. By the time I got to it, I thought, there's a hot spot in my heel. It had already torn open. It was already bleeding. It was already a mess. Every step, no matter what I put on it, was like having a cigarette put out on the back of my heel. It was that painful. And you think, it's just a blister. Most people who quit a hike quit because of a blister. They're painful. What happened to me was that it started getting infected, and my whole heel started to swell up. So after about 5 days, I'm thinking, okay, I get a little panicky, like, is this going to get into my system? What is it, sepsis? And I camped one night at near Kearsarge Pass. Kearsarge Pass is one of the passes that will take you back down to civilization, about 2 days out. And I just sat by this lake and checked myself and thought, okay, I might just be panicking about this getting really sick thing. And I decided to, and just to back up, I ever since I was in that recovery center where my roommate was a Native American guy from the Pueblo tribe, and he just talked to me about their spiritual beliefs. And as soon as he was talking, I went, that's me. I believe in that. It's nature. There's the natural world. That is both spiritual and real at the same time. They don't see a difference between these things. The earth has power. There's energy in the earth. They can feel it. Imagine living on the earth for 5,000 years. They can feel it. And they can feel this combination of the sky, Father Sky, Mother Earth. Weather is created by the two of them. You can't have weather without one without the other. And the healing power of the earth, I've played with this before. I've never been so convinced that after this trip that the earth can heal us. I sat by this river, this lake, took off my shoes, put my feet on the ground, and just invited this energy. My legs were achy, they got less achy. And I grabbed my heel, and what Brian was doing I released on my heel, which is basically, it's like a form of prayer, which is bringing the energy from the earth, let it flow through me, through my hands, and I even asked if my blister was a feeling. What's the feeling? What's the emotion? I can't remember what I thought. It's like, it feels like fear. I have fear in my heel. It makes no sense. But I just let it go and let it go and did this twice that evening. And the next morning, swelling was down. And it was just getting dry, like it started to heal. And I did that for the next 2 days. And that thing healed up so quickly.
Did you stay at one spot, or did you still walk, or decide to sit down and stay like in that camp?
No, I got in. I carried special bandages, moleskins, and I also carried on my trekking poles. I carried duct tape. I just wrapped them with duct tape, like 20 feet of duct tape around each one. By the way, at the end of the trip, 40 feet of duct tape is gone. Is gone. You used it all up. Now I duct taping my feet. I did everything. But after about 8 days, I didn't limp. I wasn't limping anymore. Let's just look at a couple of pictures so you can get an idea. That's on top of Glen. This is I got on top of Glen Pass. This is almost 12,000 feet. Ultralight tent, one piece of material, basically using your trekking pole as the only support for it, so that you're not carrying poles. This is a bear canister. This is about 7 days worth of food in the bear canister. You can't go into the wilderness without a bear canister. They do not want bears getting comfortable with you and your food. And look, here's my Swiss Army knife, moleskin bandages. So clearly I was sitting in my one luxury item, my backpacking chair, 14 ounces. I loved it. It was almost a pound, but. Glen Pass, that's about 7 days in, and I had this thing. I realized in order to climb these passes, I had to just keep my head down. And I realized the secret to ascents is don't look up. Never look up. Never look, because every time you do, you think, okay, I must be closer. Oh, fuck. I'm not fucking close at all. So I stopped looking up, and I did this thing. I was like 57 steps. I don't know why 57 number sounded good. 57 steps without looking up. And then at 57, I could look back where I came from, but I wouldn't go try to look at the top. Did this over and over. And halfway up the Glen Pass, and I did my 57. I sat on a rock to have a snack. And this guy, he's about my age, but much heavier, with a much heavier looking pack, terrible clothing. He was walking like this. Like, I don't think any faster than that. I'm watching going, he'll never get to the top of that. Look at that fat fuck with his big old pack. I'm watching him go up. I go, fuck, he's not stopping. I sat there for a half hour watching him walk to the top, and he never stopped. That changed the trip for me. I went, I got it. I'd stopped stopping after that. I slowed my pace down. I stopped trying to muscle my way up. I tried to let the earth come support me. When I'm really tired, I just like bring it up, and all of a sudden I felt everything felt lighter. Click another one and see what else is up there. So this is what most of the trip, at least the first 2 weeks before you start descending into the Yosemite Valley, looked like. It's just this: rocks, wind, 6 major thunderstorms. Like I had to hunker down for all of them, because you don't want to be up here when lightning is striking anywhere near you. Actually, a week after I got off the trail, a John Muir Trail hiker got struck by lightning and died. Yeah, it really took the community out. Let me do another one. Yeah. So that's it. Just this. Okay. And dropping into McClure Meadows. This is, there were deer, there were bear. Okay, so this is the Deuter. Deuter is a big pack. Big pack, the bigger your pack is kind of dangerous because it means you can carry more stuff. I didn't have to worry about compressing stuff. My base weight was 28 pounds. That's before food and water. 40 pounds with water and food, which is 5 to 7 more pounds than I wanted to carry, but I dealt with it. The first 2 days, my nickname for the pack was the Beast. Oh, I'm hoisting the Beast, the Beast. And I realized, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I calling it the Beast? Brian said, words have power. I started calling it Tinkerbell. Come on, Tinkerbell. Changed everything. I met, on long distance, hikers always have trail names that they give as like a community, start meeting people, and my trail name became Peter Pan, because someone heard that my Tinkerbell was my pack. They go, okay, you're Peter Pan. That's cool. I joined 2 friends of mine. A friend of mine and his adult son joined me for 4 days of the trip. Yeah, and that was great. The other, it's just massive. I know you guys know that I'm a type 1 diabetic. That means my pancreas does not make insulin. I have to take it from an outside source as an insulin pump. So part of the tension of the trip was like, do I have the equipment to make sure my insulin is cold? If anything happens, I'm really out there. The interesting thing was, after 4 or 5 days of hiking, just to get a little education, this insulin pump gives me what's called a basal rate, which is a microscopic amount 24 hours a day, and it just pumps into my body. And then if I eat something where there's carbohydrates, I press the button and give myself a dose. But after 4 days of hiking, I turned this whole pump off. In fact, I stopped hiking with it for 3 days because my blood sugar was dropping, which means something was happening inside of me that I just didn't need that much insulin. So either I just needed less insulin, or but I prefer to believe, my pancreas isn't dead. It's just dormant, and it responded to all this earth energy going through me. I took so little insulin on this trip. It's crazy. So you can have beliefs about anything, and the belief that the earth is healing me worked for me. I may be insane or stupid, or I don't know, but this is what I believe. I guess that's faith. Yeah, Carlos.
Sam, that's a very inspirational story. Thank you. During this process, did you ever consider an exit strategy? What was your exit strategy if Like you're out there?
Well, that's a timely question because, yeah, I knew where every pass out was. I always knew how I could get out. I also carried a Garmin InReach, which is a very tiny satellite communication device. It will collect texts. You can also, a big fat SOS button, and if you want to get help, you press the SOS, and the International Search and Rescue will find you somehow. It may take 4 days, or it may mean a helicopter is close by and they'll come get you. So you do have that.
Any weapons? You bring any weapons?
No weapons, no. There's nothing out there that you need to shoot.
Mace or anything?
No. It's against the law to have weapons in national parks. Yeah. By the way, hold on a second. The bears are black bears. They're not grizzly bears, so they aren't there to eat you. They're there to eat your food. So shooing off a bear in the wilderness, a black bear, it feels weird. Like this bear is here, and you're going blah, banging pots and pans and throwing rocks at it. It's like, what the fuck am I? Oh, he's running away. Okay. Actually, I had one bear encounter. I'm eating lunch. A bear shows up like just over my shoulder and goes, basically, it's like, what do you got? What's going on over there? So I thought, oh fuck, I got to stand up. But there's two young women who are hiking the trail, and I start to get up and shoo the bear. He's looking at me like, nah, I don't think so. She walks up behind me. She goes, "Go away, bear! Go away, bear!" And the bear goes, I didn't know the go away bear dance. But the healing part is really real because I actually about 20 days in, I encountered these three young people, 2 gals and a guy. They were really great, and they were enjoying their first 2 days out on the trail. They're just doing a section of it. And one of them that morning, the guy ran to my campsite and said, "Do you have a Garmin? We need a helicopter. She's really sick." So I went over, and one of the girls had been vomiting all night. She was dehydrated. She was exhausted. She could hardly stand up. And I decided to check out. If you hit SOS, a helicopter isn't going to show up. But I thought, okay, I'm going to see if there's a nurse or something I could. It's like getting a 911 operator once you push the SOS button on one of these devices, so they don't have any information. But they said, actually, where you are, there's a helicopter within, we could have a helicopter there within 3 hours. Just say yes. I'm going, fuck, I could have a helicopter by kicking Y? But I sat with her, and she didn't have high altitude sickness. Her pulse was normal. It's not a resting pulse of over 100 is you're in danger at high altitude. She was just really dehydrated and sick, and I just decided, you know what, I think she needs someone just to hold her hand. And just, by the way, I'm not magical. I'm just a conduit in these situations for something else. And so I just held her hand and talked to her. She started to perk up, and then another woman, hiker, said, "Oh, I've got anti-nausea pills, and these will help." I said, "Oh, yeah, okay." So I gave her an anti-nausea pill. Within 10 minutes, the girl starts to perk up. This is how the human brain works. She goes, "God, I think I can walk out." I'm stand up. "Thank you. That anti-nausea pill really helped." Well, they don't work in 10 minutes. But if I said something like, no, it was something else that was happening to you, not the anti-nausea pills, you would have fucked everything up. So you just like, well, anti-nausea pills work in 10 minutes, I guess. She got out. By the end of this trip, up and down and, all right, here's an interesting moment. I'm walking down, I'm thinking, I'd like to meet somebody special. I manifested girls, but I don't know if I manifest them in San Francisco. And I'm walking thinking, wouldn't it be great to meet a girl on the trail from San Francisco? I turn around, there's a girl at a river. There's no way to get off. You have to. She's taking off all of her shoes and socks. So I started taking off mine. We're going to ford the river. I said, "Oh, where are you from?" She goes, "San Francisco." This fucking works. Which was my type, but I asked for a girl from San Francisco, and she showed up. By the time 21, 22 days, the most powerful moments of my trip were those moments of intense loneliness. And when it came up, it flooded me. I had coming down over this pass, I ended up at this lake, and I could feel myself battling this grief that was in my body just from being alone for so long with my own thoughts. And I sat by that lake. I think it's the next one. This lake. Actually, you can see the whole lake. This is a peninsula that goes out in this Marjorie Lake area. I just sat there and I cried for 45 minutes. I just said, I give up. I'm just going to feel it. And of course, I felt great the next day because it was lifted. But it was not the last time. I mean, 2 or 3 times. Oh, so here I am, the third to last night. I'm hiking up. I just said goodbye to my friends, and I'm feeling really lonely. I'm crying while I'm hiking up to Cathedral Pass. I'm crying. Look at what a beanie I am. I'm crying on the trail. And I get to and I said, okay, I kind of hold it together so I get to my campsite, established camp, and then I'll be able to deal with this. So I establish a camp, like, okay, I'm going to go find a rock. I'm going to really let it loose. I'm going to cry. I get to this big slab of rock, and I start to sit down, and this man shows up. He's a little older than me, really spry. He goes, hey, how you doing? I go, oh, I'm fine. And we start talking, and he had all this beautiful energy, how much he loves the mountain. He's there with his brother. He's the one making all the noise. And he left. He said goodbye, and I wasn't lonely anymore. His energy just caused it to vanish. Crazy. In fact, I saw it. Okay, now where is it? I know it's there. No, it wasn't. It was gone. By the last day, I was hiking down into Yosemite, and now you're at lower altitude, 6,000, 7,000 feet. Big burn zone. I mean, this is like 2 miles this was a massive forest fire about 5 years ago. After forest fire comes through, the first thing in the High Sierra are these, I don't know the name of the plants, these brambles with 1-inch thorns. And they go up to here. And they cover the whole trail. So you're basically battling thorns. And I had put on, it was 90 degrees, and I still put on my full rain suit because I'd rather be sweating like a pig than getting slashed by these things. And I'm walking down, and I have 22 days in the wilderness, and I started saying, is this all you got? Is this it? Brambles? Come on! I'd gone insane. I'm talking to the universe, like, I dare you. Give me more. So that's it about the trip. I think so. Maybe there's one more. I think I gave you a couple.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what does this have to do with women? So I realized that thing. It's everything to do with women. Women don't want to be the adventure. Your adventure is you. The greatest thing a woman can hear from a woman is the words, when will you be back? Has a woman ever said, when will you be back? I had that a couple times. Fuck, that's powerful. Blister.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What did you notice that changed on your life before you went on the trip?
That's a great, it's almost an unanswerable question because I get asked that a lot. What changed? What did you learn? I gave a presentation of this on the group call, and at the end I go, I'm not really sure what I learned. And someone on the call said, you just spent 45 minutes telling us everything you learned. So I don't know. I don't have an answer how I've changed. I know people like, Ike said something that I feel like I have 1,000-yard stare sometimes. I'm just this.
In a good way, not in the...
No, I understand, yeah.
I was actually going to comment to answer his question, and I noticed it yesterday, because there was a grounding, but there's just something in his spirit that shifted that he can't probably access with human language.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. When you come out of a trip like this, you feel a lot of people, they feel lost. Like, which way? Where am I? And one of the guys on the group explained it. He said, inside of ourselves, we have a natural navigation system. And when we're out in the wilderness, it kicks on. Going this way and going this way, know where things are. When you come back, it kicks off, leaving you lost, a sense of lostness. That's not a bad feeling, but there's some adjustments that had to be made. Yeah, Nick.
I have to say I've been on a few trips with lots of walking.
Yeah.
Various types.
I'm sure you have.
But I've noticed usually at the end of a trip like that, it's really easy to take a new direction that actually leads somewhere. That's what I'm.
When I got back, the first thing I did, I started researching other long hikes. In fact, I'm going to Patagonia in January to do the 10-day Torres del Paine up in the, I'm just like, you get kind of addicted, like, what's next?
But not even anything.
I understand.
Career or anything, career relationships or whatever. I just found like usually after some experience like that, it's really easy to transition to something else.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, I understand that. Trey?
I mean, just looking at you up there, I would never know that you're 65. You move like 40.
Thanks, man.
30. And I'm just curious, like, what kind of work you have to do to stay in that great shape into your later years?
You have to do push-ups, Trey.
A lot of push-ups. That's a whole nother discussion, but it's a good one. And maybe if I have some time to talk tomorrow, but it's a mindset. You just don't want to fall into the stories of whatever age you are and as you go. People, I don't think I'm sick. I don't. I've been on the planet for 65 years, but I don't say I'm 65 years old. Just don't play them even, Nick.
What other experiences in your life have been similar to that whole thing with the foot, the blister, that you just sat and healed something so big like that? What was
It's only recent.
was that the first one that you?
Well, first time I climbed Mount Whitney, I tapped into some energy from the earth, and I was suffering hard, and I just felt this lift. I started hiking like there was a little spring underneath my feet. I went, whoa, 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 whoa. I was tired. Now I just wanted the earth to give me a hand. So the healing thing, jury's still out on that. Yeah, Aaron?
Yeah, so going along with that, if I want to use this belief in like the power of the earth in my own life, would you say it's just sort of a trust thing, or what tip would you give?
It's a feeling thing. This is this is why I went so deep into this work and encourage you guys to do it too, is that you start to understand that all this feeling work is not just to be feely or to get a girl. It's about access to something that your brain can't access. It's about, this is where once you start to feel more, you start feeling your intuition and your gut, and you just the clarity starts to happen in your decision making because you just feel this flow through your body. So it's like a curiosity and a feeling thing. It's like a little experiment. Like if I believed in things like that, what would it feel like? That's a good start. Well, it would feel light. Well, maybe I feel a little lighter. Then your brain, your ego will go, oh, fuck, you're fooling yourself. You're insane. Don't tell anybody you're doing this experiment. So
this pain is a fact, suffering is optional. This thinking, the streak that happened while you were on that trail, have you noticed that in previous trips too, or was this the first time you experienced it?
no, this one was a deeper trip for me. Pain is in your head. Once you realize that there's a difference between pain and injury, you're going to be much freer. Most of the pain we live with is just pain. It's a sensation. It's an intense sensation. So once you realize, it's just intense, this is why there's BDSM. I'm not trying to hurt my partner. I'm just trying to give her a new sensation. Not to injure. I don't want to injure her. I want to give her a sensation. And that's why the blister thing was a little dicey, because I didn't know if I was in danger. It was really swollen, so. Yeah, Hal?
It seems like you've changed a lot over the last 30 years, probably especially the last 15.
Yeah,
Especially after going for this trip, I'd imagine.
yeah.
If you
could have a conversation with yourself at 35, what would you say then?
What's the topic? I tell myself to stop drinking, that's for sure. No, I don't have an answer. Sorry, that's too deep for me right now. But it'll be percolating. Yeah, Juan?
It's not a question, it's more like a comment.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for sharing your experience. It's very inspiring.
Oh, good.
And to add what led to the question that you answered to him, it's really hard to explain. I just came back from a trip in South America in the jungle. I was there for like 13 days. And
Yeah.
I so relate to your experience. And when my friends ask me, I always tell them, I share my experience, but it's more like an awakening that belongs to me. And nobody can understand it.
Beautiful.
It's so amazing.
That's
Thank you.
beautifully said. It's awakening that belongs to you.
That's
And people say, what's changed? You go,
really
yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody, let's do the last question, I guess.
You said you were married before?
Yeah,
How long?
14 years.
14 years. And in those 14 years, you wouldn't do things like this?
Yeah, I would every summer and go off in either backpacking or mule packing or something. And I had a running promise to my wife, which was, don't worry, honey, I won't do anything stupid. I'm not just gonna, I won't do anything stupid, which actually was a really good promise to make. Because sometimes you want to climb something, you get up on a ridge, and you think you should make the step, and you go, is this stupid? Yeah, that's stupid. Okay, I'm gonna go this way.
Yeah, because I see some people that are married, and they don't do things that they really want to do at that time.
No.
Until they get separated, and now they're starting to discuss, so I'm like, why don't they do it when they were married? It doesn't matter, you know?
It doesn't. Yeah, that's the danger. That's the danger of any long-term relationship. You start to change yourself, or push your true self down in order to make the marriage work. And then you get out of the marriage and you wonder, who the hell am I? That was me.
You lost all this year, you know?
Yeah. I don't have much regret. I did. Yeah, time passed, but I was doing my best. Great, you guys. Thanks so much. Have any questions? Appreciate it.